Hello, listener, and welcome to another edition of the How to Survive podcast, episode 52. That means it's our birthday.
Yeah, it does, yeah.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday, although surely it would be 53.
Yeah. I'm jumping the gun, aren't I?
Next week, it's our birthday!
Yeah, what is our birthday? Terminator.
Yeah.
Yeah, so well...
About going back and... No, it doesn't really make sense. Not really a birthday movie.
This made sense because it's like birth and new beginnings.
Okay.
We've just organised it badly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Chris, hello.
Hello, happy birthday.
Happy birthday for next week.
Yeah.
We haven't much time.
Okay.
You must listen to what I have to say.
Okay.
You must accept Christ as your saviour. You must accept him now. You must take communion, drink the blood of Christ, and eat his flesh.
Okay.
Only if he's within you can you defeat the son of the devil. He's killed once and he'll kill again. He'll kill until everything that's yours is his. Only through Christ can you fight him. Accept the Lord Jesus. Drink his blood. I've locked the door, Mr. Morris. So that means this week is the Omen.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah, that's the line from the film.
Right.
It's a long one.
Yeah.
That's right, the Omen, the 1976 movie, which is a horror movie about the son of the devil. Have no fear, little ones. We are here to protect thee. So as any dear listeners to the podcast will know, we are spoilerific. We're going to throw right into the plot and dissect it, and then talk about how we'll survive in it later on. So of course there will be spoilers. So if you haven't seen The Omen, you have had 40 years. What on earth have you been doing?
Yeah.
It's one of the greatest films, I think certainly one of the greatest British made films.
Yeah. Okay.
So I recommend you go and see it. It's available in the shops.
Yeah.
On some streaming sites, legal or otherwise, I'm sure.
Yeah, and you can obviously go to the How to Survive Show website, HowToSurviveShow.com, which is newly revamped by yourself, Joe.
Yes.
And on that you'll find a page dedicated to The Omen.
Yeah, with links on where to buy it, where to buy the remake.
Yeah.
Well, you'd want to. It's pretty poor.
And as well as all the other films that we've covered, and a little peek ahead at our upcoming films.
So with that said, with everyone satiated with their commercialistic needs, let's throw on with the plot of The Omen.
Let's.
Robert Thorn, the US ambassador to Italy, attends the birth of his first child. After learning the newborn died shortly after birth, Robert is convinced to adopt another child who was born at the same time, but whose mother died. He and his wife, who is unaware of the switch, name the boy Damien. A few years later, Robert, now the ambassador to the UK from the US, is living in London with his family. On Damien's 5th birthday, his nanny theatrically hangs herself in front of dozens of children, revellers and the press, doing so supposedly for Damien. As she screams, "It's all for you, Damien, it's all for you." One photographer in attendance is Keith Jennings, who says of Damien, "Is this the heir to the Thorn millions, or Jesus Christ himself?" A new nanny shows up for duty, apparently without being invited. She is Mrs. Baylock, and immediately becomes suspiciously protective of Damien, going as far as bringing a Rottweiler into the house to protect him at night. Damien also appears to be behaving strangely for a 5-year-old boy, becoming violently angry around churches and terrifying zoo animals.
That's as in he's scaring the zoo animals, as opposed to he acts strangely around churches and terrifying zoo animals.
Yeah. He becomes violently angry around churches and terrifies zoo animals.
Yes.
That would be more grammatically correct.
Yes.
Shortly, Robert is visited by a priest, Father Brennan, who advises him that Damien is not human, but the devil incarnate. He says Damien plans to kill Catherine's unborn baby, and then Catherine, and then Robert himself. He says Robert must travel to Israel to find a man named Bugenhagen, who will tell him how to get rid of the boy. Robert dismisses this as madness until he learns that Father Brennan died almost immediately after their meeting, impaled by a falling church spire in a freak lightning storm. Catherine is then knocked from an upstairs ledge by Damien, causing her to miscarry her baby. So it's certainly looking like this father may be right.
Yeah, the prophecy is coming true.
Yeah. The photographer, Keith Jennings, shows Robert some photographs he'd taken earlier, appearing to predict the deaths of Damien's first nanny and Father Brennan. He confesses he has a vested interest in this case too, as he accidentally snapped a photo of himself which appears to predict his own death. Robert and Keith travel to Italy. There they learn that the hospital Damien was born in burned down the same night he was born. They track down the priest who encouraged the adoption, who was badly burned in the fire, and he tells them to go to Cerverti, an Etruscan cemetery north of Rome. There they find the graves of Damien's real mother and Robert's real son. Upon opening them, they find that Damien's mother was a jackal, and Robert's son was murdered. The pair are then attacked by a pack of Rottweilers and barely escape. Back in London, Catherine attempts to leave hospital to meet Robert in Italy, but is headed off by Mrs. Baylock, who throws her from a hospital window to her death. Robert and Keith travel to Israel to track down Bugenhagen, who gives Robert a set of knives and explains an intricate process he must employ to kill Damien. Appalled at the idea of killing a child, Robert throws the knives into a building site, but he soon changes his mind when Keith is decapitated by a runaway pane of glass as he retrieves the daggers, echoing his premonitory photo. Robert races home to London and kidnaps his son, killing Mrs. Baylock in the process. As he races to a church, where Bugenhagen says the child must be killed, he's pursued by the police. As he raises a dagger to kill Damien at the altar, he's shot and killed by a police officer. At the funeral of Robert and Catherine, Damien watches on, now in the care of Robert's friend from university, the President of the United States. And that's The Omen.
Mm-hmm.
What did you think of it?
I really enjoyed it. Yeah, it feels like one of the most English film ever.
It does, yeah.
Especially at the start, it's like really sort of regal in its style. It's almost like I guess like for us, it does feel sort of like a period drama. You know, like the outfits and the locales and the old cars and all that sort of thing. But it's like regal in its like style and soundtrack and everything. It feels really sort of heightened, sort of like soap opera-y.
It's melodramatic for sure.
Yeah. And you have those like that photo montage of Damien growing up, which really reminds me of like the sort of photos that the royal family release. Like recently they've released new photos of Prince George, and it is exactly like that. You know, like he's playing in the garden and he's with his mother, and you know, like all those sorts of things. It's really bizarre, like in its style, and it's also really interesting because a lot of it is in and around west and southwest London. Yeah, where we live. And the park that Robert Thorn meets Father Brennan in, Bishop's Park, which is in Fulham, is right near Craven Cottage. If anyone's a Fulham or a football fan, and you know, I've run through Bishop's Park many times, and it's really odd seeing it on screen and seeing how little it's changed in the 40 years since it came out. I should imagine it's probably a listed park. Maybe, but it's a really great film. It reminded me a lot of The Shining as well. Yes, and The Wicker Man for me as well. Yeah, it's very similar in its sort of heightened, you know, style. Ethereal, sort of, something's happening, you're not sure what. But I think the similarity with The Wicker Man for me is that at any point it could all just be your imagination getting the better of you. Yeah. Because Damien never actually like stabs anyone or kills anyone. It's always that someone looks at a dog and then kills himself. Yeah. Or they're attacked by dogs, or a falling church spire kills them. Yeah, I mean, I know what you mean, but then do you think there's really ever any hint that Damien isn't, you know, the devil incarnate? Well, I know that when writing it, they were told to only include things that could be somewhat ambiguous. So that is a deliberate ploy of the filmmaker, is to make you... It's more psychological. So it's like, is Robert Thorn going mad? Yeah. Although I don't think... I think maybe because we know Damien is obviously the son of Satan. Yeah, it's never really that clearly delineated, is it? No. You know. Maybe on a first viewing, without the pop cultural context, there would be some ambiguity. Yeah. Because obviously there's been more Omens films. It's been parodied, it's been spun off, you know, it's... remade, yeah. I guess it's like it's difficult, isn't it? Because it's like, I think if you went into that film knowing nothing about it and you know, it's a new film that came out, I guess there would be more of a sort of moral question as to whether, you know, can you kill the child? Exactly, yeah. So whereas I think for anyone watching it nowadays, knowing what they know, it's a lot easier to make that decision, because he's not a child.
He's not a human child.
Not a human child.
Mm.
Well, yeah. I mean, Damien. You mentioned Damians Powers, or whether they wanted to only have ambiguous stuff in there.
Yeah.
So the first time we sort of notice that something might be up with Damien is the birthday party, which is the iconic scene where the nanny hangs herself, and before she does so, she makes eye contact with Damien before she gets up on the roof.
Yeah.
And there's like sinister tones to it. So is Damien manipulating her into doing it? Is he like using mind control powers?
That could be implied. It could be implied that the dog that shows up, the Rottweiler, which just appears and makes eye contact with her as well. I personally interpret that as the dogs are the devil. In the same way as in The Witch, Black Phillip is the devil on Earth.
Spoilers for The Witch.
Sorry. It's the devil taking form on Earth.
Yeah.
I don't know if we're applying too much to it, because I'm also aware, as I am with the style of writing, that it was basically meant to be trashy.
Right.
Like it's all made up. I don't think any of all the they keep singing that poem.
When the Jews return to Zion, and a comet rips the sky, and the Holy Roman Empire rises, then you and I must die. From the eternal sea he rises, creating armies on either shore, turning man against his brother, till man exists no more.
Yeah.
Made up. It's not from the Bible at all.
Right. There's not a lot of poetry in the Bible.
No.
So I did. I did think that was strange.
It's translated from Hebrew, so it wouldn't necessarily rhyme.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's basically hocus pocus rather than based in it's the Da Vinci Code, really. It's just like it's saying, oh look, wouldn't this be weird if this was how it was interpreted?
Yeah, but what? Because that was one reading of it. I felt like that he's sort of like using mind control on her to make her do it. But then the way she said, "Damien, this is for you."
Look at me, Damien. It's all for you.
I thought maybe she might be a Satanist as well.
Right.
Because by the end of the film, we're sort of aware of this sort of overarching sort of Satanist cult.
Yeah.
That seems to have, wormed its way into the fabric of society somewhat.
And it is helping Damien succeed.
Yeah.
Because they killed Thorn's original son.
Yeah.
And put Damien in his place.
Yeah. So, is that something that we have to factor in when we're talking about how to survive? Like the potential that,
anyone could be. So was the policeman who shot Robert Thorn?
Maybe that might be a bit too far. But obviously Mrs. Baylock is part of the cult. So is that nanny agency like a Satanist nanny agency?
Well, where does she come from? Because here's an early idea.
Yeah.
Don't hire her.
I mean, yeah, presumably she hasn't really been sent by the agency.
Yeah.
Or the agency is in on it.
Or she's manipulated the agency to send her.
Yeah, but you'd think that an ambassador, a characteristic of his personality might be sort of due diligence.
Yeah.
And looking up her credentials.
Or the house manager
Yeah.
would say, oh, let me handle that for you, rather than just letting in a complete stranger.
Yeah, unless, as I said, it is a nanny, like a satanic nanny agency.
Satanic nanny agency.
Yeah.
Rosemary's Babies.
Yeah. And then later on, Damien tries to we have the tricycle scene.
Yes.
Where he knocks Catherine off the balcony.
Yeah.
So is that a murder attempt or just to kill the baby?
Well, the prophecy said it would be to kill the baby and then he'd kill her separately.
Yeah.
But then you could argue that Mrs.
Two birds with one stone sort of thing.
You could argue that Mrs. Baylock is behind both, because she physically kills Catherine.
Yeah.
And she lets Damien ride at her.
Yeah, but the initial attempt, which ends in Mrs. Thorn miscarrying, that's obviously done in a way so it could appear to be an accident. Clearly, she fell from the balcony. Yeah, but do they just then abandon that pretense when they then push her out of the window in hospital?
Yeah. Well, didn't just kill her in the first place?
Yeah.
Like when she was lying at the bottom of the stairs unconscious, just
drop a chandelier on her or whatever. Yeah.
Stand on her head or something.
But like, surely no one would believe at the hospital that she just like fell through the window.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which I think it's implied she killed herself, right? That's what they'd have gone with.
Right. I see. Okay. You know a lot about covering murder up.
Listen. You can't get away with it anymore. Double glazing.
Yeah. Well.
Yeah, we'll come to that.
Yeah.
Well, I think if there's one thing we've learned is that kids shouldn't be allowed tricycles. It never ends well.
No, The Shining, obviously.
Yep.
And
now this.
So
Now look.
Tricycle Watch. How to Survive. Flagging up 2 things already.
Yeah. Correlation is definitely causation in this case as well.
Hmm.
Yeah. So after all that's said and done, Robert and Keith. By the way, Keith, where have you seen him before? David Warner is the actor.
Yeah, I know he's been he's a what the Americans call a character actor, and what British people just call an actor.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's been in a lot. I can't remember. I recognise his face.
He's been in a movie we've covered on this podcast.
Is he in Alien?
No.
I don't know.
He's in Titanic.
Oh yeah.
He plays Spicer Lovejoy, who is Caledon Hockley's bodyguard.
Yeah.
Who you'll remember is the guy who says, "You know, I do believe this ship's going to sink."
Yeah.
Right? I was doing research on this, and I found this little tidbit, which I didn't realise. We're going to throw back to Titanic. I'm going to break things up a bit.
Yeah.
Apparently, later in life, after the film, Cal, who is the villain of the piece, married someone else and inherited his family's millions, and then lost a load of money in the stock market and then shot himself in the head.
Right. Doesn't that Rose says that in the epilogue, doesn't she?
Yeah, but I didn't remember that.
No?
No, I thought he was just
forgot.
like, yeah. Well, that's
there you go.
That's bleak.
Yeah. That's what he deserved, Joe, because he was mean to a lady once.
Well, repeatedly.
Bloody feminist agenda, isn't it?
Yeah, that's it.
New World Order.
Anyway, so
Keith
Jennings and Robert, they head off to Italy on a little reconnaissance.
Yeah.
And
Roman holiday.
Yeah, they go to the hospital first of all, where they're then sent to meet the priest who convinced Robert to adopt Damien. Probably the worst burn prosthetics I've ever seen.
Yeah. His eye was pretty cool, I thought.
Yeah, but then like the first time you see it, you're like, oh my god, that's grotesque. Then after like a minute being exposed to it, you're like, that's not where eyes are. It's in the middle of his forehead.
Yeah. Well, it was that hot, Joe.
Yeah. It's like melted upwards.
Yeah.
You described this part of the film as Raiders of the Lost Ark XS.
Yeah. Well, it's by this point the film feels a bit like a sort of adventurous romp.
Yeah. And
like they're off, despite the quite serious sort of subject matter and and despite the quite high stakes.
Yeah.
Overall, it does feel like a sort of horror Indiana Jones movie, like because they're journeying to like places of historical significance and like digging up graves.
You even got a man with a melted face.
And very good. And like going and finding supernatural artifacts that they can use to do whatever. It does feel like that. Like getting all these items of Christian antiquity. To combat supernatural forces.
It's like Raiders of the Lost Ark meets the Da Vinci Code. Meets the Wicker Man. And this is the outcome.
The devil.
Yeah. The dog attack scene in the cemetery.
Yeah.
Pretty harrowing, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, probably the best part of the film for me.
Yeah, the build up to it's really good. I thought because you have all the sort of point of view shots from the dog's perspective, but you're not sure, what. You don't see the dogs until until they attack.
It's too late. Yeah.
But it's very cleverly done. The building up of tension in that way.
Yeah, and they look like they're being overpowered by those dogs.
Yeah,
they are.
It's good that it strikes about. Most films in where they have a dog attack, I guess it's sort of like either they're able to sort of just get away from them or kick them off or whatever, or they just get like in the events of Green Room, a character gets sort of a dog leaps on him. And just like rips his throat out, and that's it. Whereas this is like a middle ground, isn't it? It's like it feels quite realistic and quite painful.
Yeah. Well, apparently one of the stuntmen was injured.
Really?
Yeah.
Doesn't surprise me. Yeah.
They're pretty much really fighting those dogs. I think.
Yeah. And Robert Thorn climbs over a fence and impales himself, Alan Partridge style, on the spike.
Oh.
I've trod on a spike.
Yeah. It got up his arm though, didn't it? Yeah. Nasty. So shortly after that, we lose our good friend Keith Jennings to a decapitation by a pane of glass.
Yeah.
Which was predicted by his photographs.
Yeah. So,
how do you feel about the photograph prophecies, Chris?
well, is that a power that he has,
That's the thing.
or is it the camera?
And is it only people who were killed relative to Damien?
Yeah. So, did he take a photo of Mrs. Thorn?
Yeah, maybe he should
And
have.
and she was like, I don't know.
Flattened.
Yeah. Or like every photo he took of her
Had an ambulance under her.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's a bit like Damians Powers. It's not really clearly outlined, is
No,
it? Which is
no.
what we like in the How to Survive podcast.
Because three incidents of something is hardly significant.
Yeah, is it the camera?
Yeah, that's it.
Like-
He's also smoking in the
Well,
dark room.
Yeah, he also takes the photo out of the bath, leaves it about 30 seconds, and then switches on a lamp.
I've never developed photographs. Does it need to be longer?
Yeah, a little bit, I think. Yeah. Well, and also having a lamp in your dark room, I think, is a bit of a no-no.
Interestingly, when you first see the picture of Priest Brennan after he's been impaled, it's in the newspaper.
Yeah.
And did you see the headline on that paper?
Remind me.
Prophet is no longer a dirty word. And I took that as a play on like prophet, like prophecy.
Yeah.
So that's the point where he realizes that.
So the prophecy is true.
Yeah.
Oh, that's clever.
Yeah.
That is good.
And it's spelled P-R-O-F-I-T in case there's any ambiguity.
Yeah.
But yeah, I thought that was. I mean, it's not there accidentally, is it?
No.
So do you think it's just a coincidence that these photographs have smudges on them in certain places, or is it really a prophecy?
Well, I think it's pretty, obvious that it is a prophecy, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Speaking of coincidences, though, are you aware of the curse of the movie?
No.
So apparently the film, like many horror films involving the devil and all sorts of things like that,
Yeah.
it was plagued by a curse, Chris.
Of course. Yeah.
And here are some things that happened.
Okay.
Gregory Peck and the screenwriter, David Seltzer, were flying on separate planes to the UK, and both were struck by lightning, hours apart.
The point is that lightning never strikes twice in the same place.
Yeah.
But then they weren't on the same plane.
No, they were hundreds of miles.
So
separated.
basically, what they're saying is,
Lightning strikes planes.
which it does, all the time, right?
Yeah.
And the planes are in separate places.
Yep.
So,
No, Chris.
eyes the curse. Sorry. Yeah, no, you're right. Yeah.
Harvey Bernard was in Rome,
Yeah.
and lightning struck near him.
Near him. Okay. Did the lightning rod that it hit then fall?
No.
All right.
Listen, that's the film. Come on, don't be silly.
okay.
This is the curse of the film.
Sure.
Rottweilers hired for the film attacked their trainers, Chris.
Okay.
Bit creepy, isn't it? Bit spooky.
Yeah.
A hotel at which the director was staying got bombed by the IRA,
Okay.
and then he got run over by a car.
I mean, this is all the work of the devil.
After Gregory Peck cancelled a flight back from Israel, the plane that he would have been on crashed, and all the people on board died.
But not Gregory Peck.
No, some Japanese businessmen.
But the curse is. I mean, normally curses are like they affect people who are actually on the.
No,
so
because
this is a curse.
It's the curse of the people who were close to them.
Right.
And these Japanese businessmen were very close.
They
to
fucking
Gregory Peck.
loved Gregory Peck.
I'm just saying, Chris. There's a curse. There's obviously a curse. On day one of the shoot, several principal members of the crew survived a head-on car crash.
Right. Okay. With what? Was it a bolt of lightning?
The jinx appeared to persist well into post-production.
Oh God.
When special effects artists... This is horrible, I can't laugh. When special effects artist John Richardson was injured...
This is going to be really horrible now,
Yeah,
isn't it? Oh, no.
When special effects artist John Richardson was injured and his girlfriend was beheaded in an accident on the set of A Bridge Too Far.
You can't laugh at that.
I'm not laughing at that.
That's horrible.
Yeah, well, that's the curse, mate. That's the curse.
Yeah. Oh.
So, as irrefutable proof that there's a curse on this film.
Yeah.
We're probably cursed now for
doing a podcast on it. Oh no.
So, do you buy the curse?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. Speaking of IMDb trivia, which is obviously where I got that. This is, we like bad trivia.
We did, yeah, of course, yeah.
And I found the worst one yet. I found the worst piece of trivia which is almost incomprehensible.
Okay.
This was on there. It's the only one I've ever seen to get more downvotes than upvotes.
Right.
The novelisation for Young Sherlock Holmes, 1985, uses the word omen. Richard Donner directed The Omen and The Goonies, and the first and last film was scripted by Chris Columbus and were produced for Steven Spielberg.
Right. I'm fucking leaving. That's
the curse, man.
a fucking disgrace.
That's the curse.
No, see you later.
See you later.
Bye.
I can't argue with that. So, moving on. I'm going to do How to Survive on my own because Chris is gone. Oh, you're back.
Yeah. Well, you're going to need my help.
Yeah, surviving.
Yeah.
The curse.
Yeah.
I thought that was the first part of the curse.
Well, me leaving. I nearly got struck by lightning.
Yeah,
So
just almost fall off the balcony.
Yeah, exactly.
So, yeah, I'd already started How to Survive section by the time you came back. So,
Okay.
So should we get on with it?
Yeah.
Yeah, so how would you survive if you were up against Damien and maybe the curse associated with him?
Well, I want to talk about parenting, Joe.
Yeah.
Basically, I have a feeling that the Thorns are, to some extent, neglectful parents. And obviously, it can't be said to, be financially neglectful.
No.
They're very wealthy. Damien looks well fed.
Yeah.
Watered. Cared for in terms of clothes and living arrangements.
Mm-hmm.
Every whim catered for. But I'm talking more about emotional neglect. Okay?
Yes, yeah.
There seems to be a distance between the parents and Damien. For example, they hire a nanny.
Yeah.
That's obviously naturally going to distance. It's putting an extra person into what should be a three-way dialogue, basically. They even lose track of Damien in the only sort of normal parenting situation that we see them undertaking. When they're walking with Damien next to a fast-flowing river, they basically just
forget about him.
Forget about him until they're like 50 yards down the path and go, where's Damien? Oh, maybe he's fallen into the river.
Yeah.
But no, he's safe. It was just a funny jape. But, I think this is emblematic of a systemic problem with their methods of child rearing.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to talk nature versus nurture. Joe.
Yeah. Well, fair enough, yeah. So the Skinner versus Chomsky, is that the...
Yeah, well, it's the debate between whether someone such as, for example, Damien
mm-hmm.
is preternaturally evil.
Right.
Or whether he is a product of the environment in which he grew up.
Whether it's a learned behaviour or something genetic.
Yeah, and based on what we see in the film, we don't know that much about the devil.
No.
We don't know that much about Damien, whether it's, Damien is like I said, evil from birth, or whether his mistreatment, and I'm going to use the word mistreatment, could be the reason he's evil in the first place.
Okay.
So why not, if you're Mr. and Mrs. Thorn, show him a little bit more love and attention, and it could make him see a better way.
Okay. The scene that comes to my mind is when Damien is playing with the snooker table,
mm-hmm.
and he's making a load of noise.
Yeah.
And she's like, "Get that kid out of here!
Yeah, shut him
really
up."
Doing my head in.
Yeah. That sort of negative energy is gonna.
He's gonna pick up on that.
Exactly. Yeah. It's only natural for a child, who's given that sort of emotional response, to develop certain, negative behavioural aspects.
And Robert Thorn does. He recognises that as well.
Yeah, and maybe those, in some children, those behavioural problems might manifest in the form of tantrums. In some, they might, manifest in the form of using your psychic powers to make a woman hang herself from the roof of your house.
Yeah, that's
I don't want to rule anything out.
Could it be that he does have psychic powers, but he isn't the son of the devil? Are they separate? And that
so his psychic power, he's like Professor X in X-Men.
Yeah,
and they're just the only explanation that we see is the sort of religious
explanation.
So,
and like you say, had Robert Thorn and Catherine Thorn put that power to good use, he would never have, convinced people to kill themselves or somehow made a pane of glass cut a man's head off.
Yeah.
From the other side of the world.
Yeah. Exactly.
I mean, if you were to put that in a punchy headline, what's the advice?
Don't be a neglectful parent.
Yeah.
I think that's fairly solid advice. And people need to remember that, like I said, it's not just sort of physical neglect.
Yeah.
But emotional neglect as well.
Fair enough.
What about you?
Well, I'm a big advocate of health and safety.
Mm-hmm.
One of the things I like to say whenever I can is, health and safety, we have a field day here.
Yeah.
Right? It's one of my things. You've probably heard me say it.
Yeah. You've got a tattoo of it.
Yeah. And when I was watching this film, I said, health and safety, we have a field day here.
Yeah.
And here's why. There's a lightning rod on top of the church in Bishop's Park.
Yeah.
And what's the one thing that a lightning rod should be able to do?
Withstand a bolt of lightning.
Yep, doesn't do that, does it?
No, it falls to pieces and
it kills a man.
It kills a man.
The worst thing that could happen.
Yeah. I mean, because it's to save the church roof, right? So that's what a lightning rod does.
Yeah, exactly. It stops the
lightning hitting the roof and destroying the tiles or whatever.
Totally.
Yeah. So, I mean, the toss up there. If you'd offered whoever is in charge of the church initially, if you'd offered someone the choice between, you have to replace some tiles occasionally if there's a freak bolt of lightning, or you've murdered a man,
I mean the builder's obviously thoughtless.
It's weird, isn't it? Like
they didn't go, do you know what that if this falls it could hurt someone. Yeah. By the way, in Hot Fuzz, am I right in saying someone dies in the same way?
So I think it is a reference to
that's what I was thinking.
So the
photographer, right?
It's a photographer, which so it's a piece of masonry from the church, but I think it is, broadly speaking, a reference.
So that's one. Reinforce the lightning rod.
Yeah.
If you're changing a flower basket on an upstairs balcony, what would you stand on, Chris?
A chair or
No. You want a sturdy 4-legged stepladder. With someone stood at the bottom of it to sort of steady it. In case it tips.
If you can't do it safely. Because your husband's not home or whatever, just don't do it.
Especially if you're pregnant,
they can wait. Ask him for trouble.
Because she's obviously not steady on her feet at the best of times.
Like on the subject of the ambassador's residence. Because I came to the same conclusion as you, basically. And the ambassador's house where they live is presumably like a held residence. Like it's like you'd hold office, but
it's like the White House or Downing Street.
It's a house that it exists for the ambassador to live in.
Yes, that's correct.
Shouldn't that be up to health and safety standards, as you say? Shouldn't it, because it's like a governmental property, it should meet certain standards, right?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, there'd be workplace regulations because it's a living, working environment.
We're recording in a live-work space right now. And it would be the same. It would come to the same standards.
I know in some places, if you work from home, someone from the office, some sort of facilities manager, will have to come to your house and make sure that your desk and chair and stuff are up to scratch. Obviously, I mean, as crazy as that sounds, it's there for a reason. It's there for a reason. Much in the same way as things like secure the load of your vehicle. When you're a builder.
And the handbrake.
Well, that's an accident. Accidents can be forgiven. Be careful though. But
if
you're manufacturing a lorry, don't leave the handbrake in the one place where downward force is definitely going to be applied. Every time.
Because it's basically on the door side of the
driver's exit. Mental. So when they go to the Italian hospital, the nurse, they're stood by the lift for ages, and I was like, oh, that's a weird thing with the door handle on the lift. As most doors, we traditionally, in 2016, they're two doors that open out, and then you step into a box, and the doors close. This one, the only way to describe it is like a dumbwaiter moving at
Yeah,
high
yeah.
speed, and you get in like a pod.
Yeah.
It's really
It's
like
mental, yeah.
Yeah.
It's absolutely mental. Because I presume they didn't invent that for this film either.
No.
So to think of it like, imagine if you go to hospital, they've still got that somewhere,
Yeah.
and you're like, you've broken your leg or whatever in a foreign country, and you've been loaded on a stretcher into one of those. You'd be like, what the fuck is happening here?
take it as a sprint.
Like, I don't know what to describe, how to like, if there's a name for them or whatever, but
It's
yeah,
if you misstepped,
yeah,
you'd lose a leg.
yeah, definitely.
It's really unpleasant.
It shows a casual approach to health and safety,
Yeah.
doesn't it?
I think I haven't never seen one of those before until I watched this film,
Yeah,
and I think there's a reason why, Chris. I think they're dangerous.
a hazard. Yeah, I'll tell you what else is a hazard, and I'm sure you're about to come onto it.
Yeah.
Double glazing.
Yep.
On the lack thereof.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, high story. You don't want breakable glass because people might accidentally fall
Yeah.
or be pushed through a window.
Yeah, and Mrs. Baylock does that to Catherine Thorn.
Yep.
She plummets to her death.
Mm.
We've been advocates of double glazing before, if
Yeah.
you remember back here when we talked about Child's Play 10 episodes ago.
Yeah.
Fuck me. And
Was it really?
yeah,
Wow.
and let's remember as well, this is an English hospital that Catherine is in.
Yeah.
It's NHS run.
Yeah.
That means it's funded by state money. They should be looking to save money wherever they are. And remember, double glazing, not only a safety feature,
Yeah.
but it saves you money on your bills as well.
It does. Yeah. Was it commercially available in 1976?
Well, I don't know. I mean, like, people say that since the 1970s, like, political correctness, the nanny state,
Yeah.
and health and safety busybodies have made the world a poorer place.
Yeah.
You know, some people believe that. But all of those things would have helped in this film.
Every death in this movie is down to
Yeah.
lax approach to health and safety.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why does the nanny have a key to, like, the roof of the house? It's mad. It's absolute madness. In fact, if it wasn't so politically incorrect, Joe,
Yeah.
to murder your own children, then it would have been a lot easier as well.
There's a bit of taboo around that, isn't there?
Yeah, so basically, rather than, being politically correct, we should be more liberal.
Yeah. I mean, do you call murder political correctness? It's political correctness gone mad, isn't it?
Yeah, it is, yeah.
Fair enough. I mean, I can't argue with you, Chris.
Yeah, I think we're in agreement in those terms.
Yeah, I mean, largely.
Yeah. I think basically you think that child murder is okay.
Listen, in the right circumstances, if the child isn't a human child, I've always said that.
Always. It's your catchphrase.
Yeah. Like, health and safety would have a field day here.
Yeah.
If the child's not a human child, then it's fine to murder it.
Yeah.
That Joe Sherville watchwords.
Yeah.
Failing to listen to an expert, Chris.
Yeah. Oh, it's a How to Survive staple.
Yeah. I mean, what we should have done is mentioned it last week as well. I've only just thought of this for Friday the 13th.
Yeah.
Jason Lives.
Yeah.
Tommy Jarvis was the expert, wasn't he?
Yeah, but then, like, to what extent do you believe someone who's got a checkered past with mental health? And,
True.
Like, listening to an expert doesn't necessarily mean abandoning all your, like, sense of logic.
No, that's true. I just wanted to get,
Yeah.
because I just noticed that was my show notes from last week, and I didn't mention it. But the expert in this case, obviously Father Brennan,
Yeah.
he says, for God's sake, just take communion and you'll be fine.
Yeah.
There's another how to survive tip.
That's
Just take communion.
Yeah, like, if a survival tip from a character or otherwise is the like cost of it is so low that it really should be undertaken regardless.
Yeah.
So really, everyone should be constly taking communion just in case.
I mean, I took it like twice today.
Yeah.
And that's my excuse.
Yeah.
Just drink a bottle of wine.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
You got any more?
Yeah. So Damien, he shows a certain aversion to churches, right? Churches, as we see in this film, are almost always giant stone buildings, top of hills, they stand out basically.
Yeah, stained glass windows.
Yeah, exactly. They're icons of the environment. So why not, Joe, secretly turn your house into a church?
Yep.
Do you have the same thing?
No, I thought it wasn't watching. I was like, just get someone to come and consecrate the ground.
Yeah, so because the plan to kill Damien at the end of the film comes a cropper when he drives at speed to the church.
Yeah,
because he needs to do it on hallowed ground.
Yes, and all the police are like,
holy shit, we need to...
Definitely,
who's this mental...
There's been an incident at the diplomatic residence.
Yeah, exactly. And they, they chase him down and he's about to stab a child to death. So they rightly shoot him.
Yeah.
But he could have done that in the comfort of his own home, Joe.
Mm-hmm.
Then you could kill Damien without driving him anywhere. But does Damien have a sort of supernatural ability to sense the presence of a church? Or is it just that buildings that look like churches freak him out?
We don't see him go near any other buildings that are like churches.
Yeah, or see him go near a church that's like one of these new modern looking churches.
Right, yeah.
That just looks like a community centre.
Exactly,
or
yeah. Like a trendy church.
Yeah, because... and also, would Mrs. Baylock know? Because I presume it's a lot of like forms to fill out in all those sorts of things. So if a lot of it is paperwork, would she necessarily know? No,
I mean, why not?
I mean, it would also benefit you in terms of tax.
Yeah,
because living in a church, if you have residence in a church, or if you run a church, then you're tax exempt.
Yeah, sure.
However, you would have to hold weekly meetings, have a congregation who attends.
Yeah. Is this you've looked up how to register as a church?
But essentially, yeah. Follow a form of recognised doctrine and host other church-like activities, which might raise suspicions among Satanists, especially if there's one living in the house.
Or more.
Yeah. Just to stop there for a minute. What is stopping Robert Thorn just when he realises Mrs. Baylock is a Satanist?
Yeah.
Just like phoning the police like from Italy and going, there's this woman in my house who said that she's my nanny, but actually I've come to believe that... In fact, you don't even need to do that. You just say, I don't give her permission to be in my home anymore.
Yeah, I've asked her to leave. She won't leave.
Yeah.
She's in there with a dog. I'm scared for the child.
Yeah.
I'm the diplomat.
Yeah, I own the residence.
Yeah.
Can you fuck her off, please?
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, so you should have done that.
Yeah.
Also, this film takes place in the 1970s, Joe. More suspicious times, as we were saying. More, so they were probably more hard line when it came to doling out, place of worship status to buildings.
Right, yeah.
So that could be tricky. But I did get this information from an actual forum on which people were asking whether or not they could make their home into a church to be tax exempt. So that's the sort of people who are out there on the internet.
Yeah, that forum was HowToSurviveShow.com
/tax.
Yeah. On that basis, just because you mentioned it.
Yeah.
Is there no such thing as diplomatic immunity?
Yeah, there is diplomatic immunity, isn't there?
Yes.
Unless I don't know. I don't think diplomatic
extend to murdering children.
No, exactly. No, I don't think so. There are calls at the moment in British news to revoke diplomatic immunity on parking tickets,
really?
Because countries have racked up. Like one country, I can't remember which. I think it's an UAE country or something.
Yeah, I'll bet it is, Chris.
Yeah, Middle Eastern country.
Sweden
has racked up £500,000 worth of parking tickets.
Really?
£40 a time.
Wow.
So.
Wow. I got one the other day.
Yeah.
I'm not immune from it though. I had to pay it. I was gutted.
Yeah. Did you write and tell them that you lived in a church?
No, I paid it.
All right.
I paid it early to avoid the excessive.
How to survive excessive fines?
Yeah. Parked in a bus stop, mate.
Well, you're a fool to yourself, mate.
Driving my fiancée to the airport, and I'm the one who gets down for it.
Yeah.
Wow. It's May's Britain, isn't it?
Fucking political correctness gone mad, isn't it?
Oh man. Okay, my final how to survive.
Yeah.
And this comes from Business Insider.
Mm-hmm.
How to survive a wolf pack attack.
Right.
There's nothing online on how to survive a dog pack attack.
Right.
It's never happened.
Yeah.
So,
well, hang on. We did do this for Green Room.
That was just a dog attack.
Right, a dog attack.
I looked specifically for a pack of dogs.
Okay.
These are the points.
Uh-huh.
Don't run!
Okay.
That's how it's written. This will make you look prey. which is a bad thing. Remember,
business insiders don't have any time for grammar.
Remember, wolves are hunters. Don't stare the animal down.
No.
That's written in inverted commas. This looks like a threat.
Yeah.
Don't turn your back on the wolves. They don't do that. They back away sensibly. Make yourself appear scary. Shout, throw stones, raise your arms over your head. They definitely don't do that, do they? They try and run away really quickly. If you've entered an enclosure, back away slowly, moving toward the exit with your back against the fence. They kind of do that, so props. Don't look scared or fall. This will encourage an attack.
Right.
Yeah. So if you trip up, that's it. You idiot.
Yeah.
Yeah. And if things get really bad, curl into a ball to protect your face.
There you go.
So more or less the same as the advice before.
Yeah. Nothing about climb over a fence to get away from them.
As quickly as possible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember that in the green room episode when we talked about dog attack, the advice was basically curl up into a ball, and then the next step was walk away calmly.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, if you can't,
feel like it was missing crucial information there. Yeah.
So there you are.
There we are.
Feel equipped to survive the son of Satan now?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. So as ever, if you've got any thoughts on how you'd have survived the Omen or any of our films, and next week we're going to be talking about the 1980-something classic, The Terminator. And that's followed by the 2015 movie Ex Machina. So it's artificial intelligence season here on How to Survive.
Absolutely.
So you can email us your thoughts at howtosurviveshow@gmail.com. You can tweet us at howtosurvivepod, and you can head over to the website and check out the show notes and all the fun stuff we have there. Loads of fun, cool things.
Yeah, you've just finished your Flash game for the website, haven't you?
Yeah. Flash, famously a popular medium.
It's really
to make
good.
things
It's really
on
good.
now.
It's great fun. You've done a brilliant job on it.
Yeah, and I've done that data analysis where I took all the actors in every film ever.
Yeah.
And I made that really compelling graph.
Yeah.
It's on the website somewhere, so click around and you're bound to find it.
All your heart rate monitor stuff as well. That's all up there.
Some of that is.
Okay.
Do you know what? I tried to do it for The Omen.
Yeah.
But what I'd actually done, because I watched The Omen and Friday the 13th on the same day.
Right.
So what I accidentally did was track my heart rate between films.
Okay. Great.
Yeah. So that didn't work. I won't put that up. But some other wrote there. Definitely click the Amazon links though, and then buy loads of stuff on Amazon.
Yeah.
If you want.
Yeah.
So Chris, here is wisdom. Let him that hath understanding count the email of the beast, for it is the email of a man, and his email is howtosurviveshow@gmail.com.
See you next week.